What if I told you Anderson Cooper, yes, the silver-haired CNN anchor, is a descendant of the legendary Vanderbilt family, once the richest in America? But here is the twist. He did not inherit a single penny. Anderson Cooper grew up knowing his last name carried weight, but not wealth. Despite being a Vanderbilt, a family that once ruled America's economy, he saw none of that massive fortune. No trust fund, no inherited estate, just a name and a story filled with both glory and ruin. So how did the Vanderbilt empire rise so high and crash so hard? And how did Anderson find success in a world where his family fortune had already vanished? Let us uncover the unbelievable true story of lost wealth, forgotten legacy, and earned success. Anderson Cooper, the famous face with a forgotten fortune. Today, Anderson Cooper is one of the most respected journalists in America. Known for his thoughtful reporting, global coverage, and calm presence during chaos, he has become a household name. Whether standing in a hurricane's path or moderating a presidential debate, Anderson represents poise under pressure. But what many people do not know is that behind the camera, his family history reads like a novel. He is the son of Gloria Vanderbilt, who was not just a fashion icon, but also a member of one of America's most powerful families. Her great-great-grandfather was none other than Cornelius Vanderbilt, the railroad tycoon who helped shape modern America. In the 1800s, Cornelius Vanderbilt built an empire of steamships and railroads so vast that his fortune today would be worth over $200 billion. The Vanderbilt name became synonymous with American wealth, industry, and ambition. They did not just buy homes, they built palaces. The family's real estate holdings included some of the most famous mansions in New York and beyond. They did not attend high society, they were high society. But here is the shocking part. By the time Anderson was born, the Vanderbilt fortune was already gone. And he knew it. "My mom made it very clear," he once said in an interview. "There is no trust fund. There is no pot of gold." If you're enjoying this breakdown so far, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps us keep creating more awesome content for you. So how did the richest family in America go broke in just 3 generations? The Vanderbilt Empire, born from steam, built by ambition. To understand the collapse, we have to go back to the beginning. Cornelius Vanderbilt was born in 1794 in Staten Island, New York, into a modest family. At just 16, he borrowed $100 from his mother to start a ferry business, transporting goods and people across the New York harbor. He worked hard, fought competitors fiercely, and rose through the ranks of America's growing transportation industry. By his 40s, Cornelius had taken over the steamboat business, but he was just getting started. In the 1860s, he made a bold decision to shift into railroads. It was perfect timing. America was expanding westward, and railroads were the backbone of that expansion. Vanderbilt seized the opportunity and built what would become the New York Central Railroad. He connected cities, fueled commerce, and became the wealth engine of a growing nation. He was not just wealthy, he was powerful. When Cornelius Vanderbilt died in 1877, he left behind a fortune of over $100 million. Adjusted for inflation, that is about $2.5 billion today. He had built the ultimate American dream. But like many first-generation tycoons, he failed to create a plan for keeping that dream alive. From builders to spenders, how the fortune began to fade. Cornelius left most of his wealth to his son, William Henry Vanderbilt. And unlike many wealthy heirs, William did not squander it, at least not immediately. He doubled the fortune in less than a decade. He was smart, methodical, and continued to expand the family's influence. But William had 8 children, and with them came the unraveling. The 3rd generation of Vanderbilts had no connection to the sweat and sacrifice that had built the empire. They were born into luxury and they embraced it. They spent lavishly on art, clothing, homes, yachts, and parties. They treated money like it would never run out. The Vanderbilt name became a symbol not only of wealth, but of extreme excess. One grandson, George Washington Vanderbilt II, built the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina. It is still the largest privately owned home in America, with over 250 rooms, a banquet hall, bowling alley, and a library with 10,000 books. It was breathtaking. but also a bottomless money pit. Gloria Vanderbilt, Anderson's mother, was born into this world of faded glamour. Her childhood was marked not by security, but by instability. At just 10 years old, she was the subject of a sensational custody battle between her mother and her aunt. The tabloids called her the poor little rich girl. Although she inherited some money, much of the Vanderbilt wealth had already been diluted and squandered by the time she reached adulthood. Anderson's childhood, legacy with limits. Unlike previous Vanderbilt heirs, Anderson did not grow up surrounded by limitless luxury. His father, Wyatt Cooper, was a writer and screenwriter. He raised Anderson and his brother with strong values and a grounded sense of self. Sadly, Wyatt died when Anderson was just 10 years old. His mother, Gloria, chose to reinvent herself. Rather than lean on her family name, she entered the fashion world in the 1970s and launched a designer jeans brand that brought her independent wealth. She worked not for fun, but out of necessity. Still, the Vanderbilt millions were gone. By the time Anderson reached adulthood, he knew there would be no inheritance. He attended Yale University without the help of a trust fund. He began his journalism career not on a major network, but by traveling to war zones on his own dime. With a borrowed video camera, he hustled, he took risks, and he made a name for himself. Not because of his bloodline, but in spite of it. How the money disappeared. A lesson in generational wealth. The fall of the Vanderbilt fortune has become a cautionary tale in financial circles. Experts call it the classic case of shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. It is a pattern seen across wealthy families, where the first generation builds, the second maintains, and the third destroys. The Vanderbilts had no long-term strategy for preserving wealth, no trust structure, no education plan for heirs. Each generation received large inheritances with no accountability, and many chose to spend instead of invest. Compare that to families like the Rockefellers, who built complex financial structures to protect their legacy. The Rockefellers established trust funds, hired professional advisors, and created family governance systems that kept wealth alive for over a century. The Vanderbilts did none of that, and they paid the price. By the 1970s, the fortune was gone. At a family reunion in 1973, 120 Vanderbilt descendants gathered at Vanderbilt University. Not a single one was a millionaire. The irony of legacy, Anderson's success without the wealth. And here lies the poetic twist in this story. Anderson Cooper, the great-great-great-grandson of Cornelius Vanderbilt, is not a product of wealth. He is a product of drive. He has said openly that he is glad he did not inherit money. In his own words, "I do not believe in inheriting money. I think it is an initiative sucker. I think it is a curse." When his mother Gloria passed away in 2019, she left him a small inheritance, about $1.5 million. Modest by Vanderbilt standards. But by that time, Anderson was already a self-made millionaire, with a career built on merit, not legacy. In many ways, Anderson represents the opposite of his ancestors. While they built wealth and lost it, he started with nothing and built a meaningful career. While they were consumed by status and image, he focused on truth, integrity, and service. He did not inherit the Vanderbilt wealth, but he learned from their mistakes. So, there you have it, the rise, fall, and redemption of one of America's most iconic families. From Cornelius Vanderbilt's empire of steam and steel to Anderson Cooper's empire of stories and truth. The Vanderbilt tale is not just about money, it is about values, choices, and legacy. What can we learn from it? That fortune can disappear, but character remains. That a name may open doors, but only grit can keep them open. And most of all, sometimes, the greatest inheritance is the freedom to build your own path. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of dynasties and downfall, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another true story.